The Home Secretary is preparing to give an update to Britain's counter-terrorism strategy, where she will warn that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are still planning attacks in Britain.
Well, it comes as Labour sets out its plans today to stop extremists and terror threats using artificial intelligence to radicalise and recruit people.
Well, the Shadow Security Minister, we welcome Holly Lynch this morning. She joins us live from Westminster. Holly, this is something different that we're hearing here, aligning terror risks with not just technology, but AI technology. What is your fear here?
It is, and it's a real worry. And as those threats continue, so unfortunately the terrorist threat is not going away, but we are seeing more and more threats here within the UK emanating from hostile states overseas. The resources that then come with that threat are really terrifying, and actually the ability of both terrorist organisations and hostile states to use AI when you think about generating terrorist content for publication online, the ability to train AI chatbots to start to radicalise people online without the ability for another human being at the other end of the screen, the other end of that conversation. These are some of the areas where we are really concerned that legislation and the powers that our security services and counter-terrorism policing haven't evolved at pace to be able to respond to some of those types of emerging threats that we are seeing present a risk to us here in the UK.
So you're identifying the threat. What's the solution? I mean, I know that the boss of GCHQ's briefed the Cabinet on his concerns about the pace of legislation around AI. How do you propose to stop ISIS and Al-Qaeda and these increased threats that we're expecting to hear from the Home Secretary today with these measures?
So we are expecting an update to Contest, which is the counter-terrorism strategy that has served us well as a country for the last 20 years. The government's going to do that tomorrow. What we think is missing from that strategy is a state threat equivalent. At the moment, some of our legislation is targeted very much at terrorism, but where you've got groups like the threat emanating from Iran, the Revolutionary Guard, our security services saying they've had to intervene on 15 separate occasions to disrupt, kidnap and assassination attempts here in the UK since January 2022. These are some of the new ways that threats are presenting themselves here in the UK. Alongside that, you have got this use of technology. So whether it's coming from a terrorist organisation or a hostile state, we need new powers to make sure that if somebody is committing these types of acts using chatbots, generating terrorist content online using artificial intelligence, we are going to be looking at new offences to make sure those are captured by legislation.
Meanwhile, Holly, the government are grabbing headlines today. Prime Minister's personal crusade against what he's calling rip-off degrees at universities. He wants more quality courses. He wants it published how this potential degree would actually lead to a job and what salary you should expect to collect at the end of the day. What do you think about that approach?
I think we all want some assurances that degrees are value for money and that there is a route into paid employment and opportunities beyond that degree. But actually, when you look at my constituency as an example, the film and television industry that's been coming to Halifax. We've had Disney filming Secret Invasion. We've had Happy Valley, last time going Halifax. All of Sally Wainwright's brilliant work set there. When you think about some of these media, production, filming, television courses, actually that's what's been driving economic regeneration in my town, in my constituency. And you've got those pockets of opportunity all over the country. It's very much one of our Labour missions that we remove barriers to opportunity. And that variety in provision of skills and degrees is something that we've got to think about as part of that, as part of levelling up. So certainly in my town, that variety of skills is something that our next generation need, and it wouldn't serve my constituents at all if we were looking at removing some of those opportunities for further education on those types of courses.
Now, tell me this. We speak to your colleague Jonathan Ashworth regularly on the programme. He's described the Conservative child benefit policy as a vicious policy keeping children in poverty. He also described it as heinous. What's your view on that policy?
I think, again, all MPs have got constituents that they know are struggling with that policy. I think Keir Starmer's comments over the weekend will tell you one thing about the Labour Party, and it's that we won't make unfunded spending commitments on the hoof. There are so many policies that we are really uncomfortable about, some that we find appalling under this Conservative government. But given what they've done to the economy, the crash less than 12 months ago on Liz Truss's watch, it does mean that as we're thinking about reforms to universal credit, if we can't be absolutely clear about changing individual policies and where that funding would come from, then we won't say it. But child poverty is something that keeps us all awake at night. Those reforms of UC are very much being undertaken by Jonathan's team. They are one of the things that make us do the work that we do in the Labour Party. But we've got to be absolutely clear about where that money is coming from. It's getting harder under this government, so we'll be clear about that coming into government.
Yeah, but I'm asking specifically whether or not you think a cap on child benefit of just 2 children is keeping children in poverty. What's your own view, not that of Sir Keir Starmer?
I think we all see examples in our constituencies where we see families really struggling with it, and I see that and I experience it, and I look those families in the face and I know that to be true. But there are a whole range of policies actually that are keeping children in poverty. We want to start to dismantle some of that architecture that it is keeping our families locally in poverty. But we won't do that unless we can be absolutely clear about where that money is coming from, to change those policies, to do things differently, and I think that's what you saw from Keir Starmer yesterday.
Holly, you'll be aware of this warning from the Foreign Office today about British tourists travelling to Central Europe, and just to be aware of the temperatures there. You had that speech interrupted by Sir Keir last week by the pressure group New Deal Rising, and their problem is they think the Labour Party is wavering on climate commitments. All as part of the whole effort to actually reduce this climate crisis. What's your view about what Labour are doing and how bad things are?
I think Labour have seen the opportunity that if you do this well and set out bold ambitions to be a green energy superpower in the way that we have, actually that's going to be good for jobs, it's going to be good for skills, it's going to be good for protecting people from those energy shocks that impact on those bills and the cost of living. So we have set out quite bold ambitions that we are going to be a green energy superpower, and we don't always agree with the methods that some of those raising the profile of climate change go to, and again you saw Keir Starmer be quite clear about that yesterday. But we have got those bold ambitious plans in place that would then make a difference, bring us much closer to action on tackling climate change, but also in a way that's going to be good for jobs, good for the economy, and positively impact on people's household bills at the same time.
Holly Lynch, Shadow Security Minister, thanks very much indeed.
Holly, just before you go, you're spot on there about Last Tango and Happy Valley. I mean, the profile for your constituency, for Yorkshire, quality programmes. And I mean, to think they could have been made somewhere else, and they weren't. They were made on your doorstep. So I just don't think, I mean, I speak about this because there are lots of programmes that are made in Belfast, for instance. What do you call that police drama one?
Oh, sorry.
The one, oh gosh. What is it? Jesus, Mary and Joseph and the Wee Donkey. What's his name? Oh, for goodness sake.
Line of Duty.
Line of Duty, 2 points, Holly. 2 points.
We've already talked about that.
2 points, Holly. So I've seen what this has done for Belfast, though the last thing we need is more profile with people touting guns about and whatever. But it is an amazing thing. And when you get these film companies concentrating on areas, it really does a lot, doesn't it, for people's morale, for the profile of the area, and I just think for people feeling good about where they live.
You're absolutely right, yeah, and we're so grateful to Sally Wainwright, who has written very loyally about our area in Halifax and then insisted that things are filmed there, so all the street references are real. So, as you said, Last Tango in Halifax, Happy Valley, Gentleman Jack. But once we've demonstrated that you can host those types of filming productions, that's brought in Disney, it's brought in Channel 4.
Yeah.
So we're now hosting, Secret Invasion, that Marvel production.
Yeah.
Just so brilliant to see. Full Monty, parts of that have just been filmed in Halifax. So it's brilliant. And that is bringing very serious jobs, investment and tourists into our town. So you're right.
Yeah.
The transformative effect of film and television is really powerful.